Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at another rank 1 in the Royal team here from that boy Jay. So let's take a look at the team. We're going to have a team with two flying type Pokemon here with both the Shadow Dragonite as well as also the Talonflame. Interesting enough, by the way, again, we're going to encounter quite a lot of Decidueye. If you have not seen my video earlier on today, I hit Legend with Decidueye and also kind of saw in that video already that Decidueye is kind of taking over the meta. This Pokemon is everywhere in higher-ish ELO range. Of course, we're like around like 3000 ELO range as well with this team here to test it out. And I have to say, it is not really great in this ELO range. The thing is, I was insanely unlucky with this team. I don't think that this team itself is pretty bad or anything like this. I think it's a fairly decent team to use. I think there are some games that I could have won if I played a little bit differently because I don't have knowledge about the team and I don't know how they playing it. But there were quite a lot of occasions where I was like, I feel like we are getting hard-walled quite often. And I have to say, I basically only encountered hard losses in the lead. We saw it here already, I think, with Skarmory in the lead for this team. I encountered so many Skarmories, I encountered so many Steelix, I encountered so many Whimsicots, I encountered so many... I honestly, like, whatever is kind of good against Dragonite I had in the lead today. Abomasnow Snow I had, like, several times as well. I'm not too sure how many I'm going to show here in the video today, but it was rough, but first game we were still able to win even though we lost the lead. And this is going to be something that you're going to have to get used to for this video at least. We're basically going to lose the lead every single time here. It was madness. Like, honestly, so many teams where I was like, why? Like, how did this happen all of a sudden? This opponent is going to be double weak already to ground. There's going to be most likely tomorrow a video coming up about a ground type that is fairly decent in this cup as well, so definitely stay tuned for this. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, feel free to do so. We're getting very close to the 75,000 subscribers, would really appreciate it. Plug and here as well. Let's take a look at the opponent. They're going to go for an awkward here. I was not too sure if it was an outrage yet. I think they were a little bit short of energy as well, so maybe I could have not used a shield here instead, which would have maybe helped us here. But it is going to be a Dragonite against us. And here I'm going to go for a play that I'm not too sure if it's going to be the correct play, but it is a play at least. I decided to let this move go through. Why did I do this? Because I was thinking that my best bet here is to go for the full farm down, go for a super power shadow damage against shadow Pokemon, and hope that this is going to be enough to knock out a Steelix. Is enough? It is not, and so sadly we're going to lose. Honestly, I don't think there was anything that I could have done to win this game. But look at this, we're going to have another Steelix in the lead. Isn't this amazing? And if you have seen this there, it is not going to run Dragon Tail. And this is something that I did not see while I did my battles. And it might be something interesting to take a look at if it has some potential. And honestly, I'm going to take a look at it real quick on the side as well here because I'm kind of curious. Because the opponent is not running the standard moveset. They are running the Thunder Fang on this Steelix. And I'm honestly kind of curious if this has like a lot more potential. Like I know that for Steelix, you're going to have a little bit better play with that against Pokemon like the Skarmory, which might be interesting for it. You're still going to, of course, win against Skarmory anyway, even with Dragon Tail. But there might be actually a case where Steelix is better with the Thunder Fang. For example, here you're going to see another matchup where Steelix with Thunder Fang is going to have a better time, which is going to be against our Talonflame. But they still decide to lose or like forfeit here, so we're going to be able to move on to the next matchup. So, taking a look here at the next opponent, we're going to see a Talonflame in the lead, which is kind of decent for us. You kind of want to go up to a Super Power and then throw the Dragon Claw just because it's the best fast move timing for the first iteration here. By the way, you're also going to win with Thunder Fang against the Mandibuzz, which is kind of completely gone. Otherwise, you are not going to win against anything out of the top like 10 or whatever. I think top 20 for PvP Poke, so don't think that Thunder Fang is the way to go. So just as a small shout out there, we're going to see here that the opponent going to have their Dragonite. I decided to go into my own Talonflame to farm them down, but we're going to see that the opponent has in the back a Pokemon that I don't really enjoy either, which is going to be their own Talonflame here, which is going to be a little bit annoying. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Fly, and we're going to swap out immediately into our Vigoroth. Vigoroth is going to be able to take the Fly, and we still should be able to reach a Body Slam in time to knock them out, but this game is far from over, I have to say. As you're going to see here, Body Slam going to get the knockout against the opponent. They're going to still have in the back a Trevenant. So basically kind of similar to the Decidueye. I like the Decidueye a little bit more in this meta, I have to say, because the Decidueye is going to allow you to farm down something like a Vigoroth in this scenario, because you're just going to do neutral damage instead of double resisted Shadow Claw damage. But as you're gonna see here, they can knock us out and they're still going to be able to reach Shadow Ball. So again, not a lot that I can do in this matchup, and I don't think I played wrong, it was just RPS. Next opponent, we're going to have a Stunfisk in the lead. Very interesting Pokemon, I would say. But we're going to still have a fairly decent matchup here with our lead. We can take the first move, discharge us around like 60% damage against us, and then swap out into the Vigoroth, which I can retaliate with a Dragon Claw bait, pretending that this would be a superpower. They decide to use a shield, kinda obvious, but I can swap out into my own Vigoroth, and thanks to the prior damage, I know that I should be able to realign no matter what I do here. And it's kinda important to realign. Or is it actually? Because like if you have a shield up, I think the Talonflame has some potential here as well. It depends on what they're going to run in the back. But if you run something like a Stunfisk, there is very likely going to be a Mantine in the back, which is hilarious because, yeah, you're going to see why it's hilarious eventually, but we're going to see the Rock Slide coming through, we're going to connect, and we can swap out into our Talonflame. Talonflame is going to be able to go ahead and take this move. Hopefully it's not a Water Pulse, it's going to be the Ice Beam, which is better for us. You definitely can run Water Pulse on the Mantine here as well, but as you're gonna see, we can let the next move go through as well, but it's going to knock us out already, which is kinda mad. I did not expect this at all, and so it's down to our Dragonite to win this game, and it's going to be a very close one. I was hoping at this point that I can still go for a Superpower, because Superpower does a little bit more damage, but as you can see, we would not be able to go there. Can we still knock them out here with the Dragon Claw? We cannot, and sadly we lose. Honestly, like, the leads that I encounter, like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, what is my play? Honestly, I just was a little bit confused about all the stuff that I see, because there are quite a lot of matchups that Dragonite actually would be able to win. And, for example, if you would encounter something like a Vigoroth in the lead, you can use it in the two-shield scenario, even though it's not the best one. Or if it's going to be something like a Lantern, or a Whiscash, or a Quagsire, or whatever of the meta Pokemon you want to choose. But basically, everything I encountered with this team were the hard walls, so, like, we just gotta take it. We just have to try to adapt, we have to win. So we can go for one Rock Slide here. This Rock Slide is going to be able to connect and do a little bit more damage, around, like, I think the average is, like, I think it's 75 damage that Rock Slide does, and you do 72 together with a Body Slam with a stab bonus on it, so I think it's like 3 damage difference, so it's a little bit better in neutral scenarios if you only get to one move, but it is what it is. Here we're gonna see in the back a Talonflame against our Talonflame. This is tricky, I would say. It is definitely tricky, as I can go for a Fly, could went for the Flame Charge as well, which maybe actually would have changed something. Flame Charge is actually totally fine in this scenario, but yeah, I would have got them a little bit lower here. Here I decided, by the way, to go for an extra fast move because I thought I would win CMP. You see the IVs on the right side. I have a very attack-weighted Talonflame, but I guess the opponent even had a higher attack-weighted Talonflame for whatever reason. And so I think if they didn't have the high attack weight, I think I would have been able to win this game. But maybe I'm still able to win this game, because they can still go for the bait here with the Dragon Claw, get the shield, and I can still go for the Superpower. And the Superpower is only single resisted, and we do a ton of damage just to keep them at like 1 HP. Great, isn't it? It is not really great, but we can move on to the next opponents. Moving on, we're going to encounter a Mantine in the lead. Again, a lead that you usually lose as a Dragonite. I think in a two-shit scenario it's kinda okay, but it is not a great lead. So what I would recommend you to go for is just to go for one charge move and then try to swap out maybe on a charge move, because we're gonna put them now into fly range anyway, and that is kinda great for our Talonflame. You know what's also kinda great for our Talonflame is that we're gonna get rid of a Charger Bug, which would do super effective damage against us, but it's still actually more of a neutral matchup because we also do super effective damage against them. So, Exeter going to come through, going to get, like, does a ton of damage against me, like, don't get me wrong, but we can still reach our next charge move in time, which is going to take the knockout, and so we're in a great spot right now. We have a shield advantage, we have switch advantage, and we're going to have now that Vigoroth, which is going to not really help us at all, because I still have a ton of energy now, and so I'm forced to use a shield here against the Mantine as well with my Dragonite, so we equal shields again, and that is not all, because they even have more energy, and so we are shieldless. So yeah, not too sure if there was a better play for me to go for, but there's only one way for me to win now. What way is that? To sacrifice my Talonflame completely. And you see exactly what I mean by this play. So, let's say all goodbye to that Talonflame because its Stone Edge completely annihilates it. but this is actually the best possible outcome for us, because like this we can still go for a Dragon Claw, go for the full farm down, and say goodbye to the Mantine. What a way to win, but let's move on to the next opponent. I guess this is going to be a neutral lead. You see, by the way, the best games basically that I had with this team, I cut out, I think, at least like 5 losses where I just got completely hardwalled. So just to be transparent about this team got hardwalled the entire time for me. This does not mean that this team is bad in your elo range. This does not mean that this team is bad in general. I think this team has a lot of potential. I just always had like a tough time with the opponents that I faced based on the team comps that I faced. I feel like if you swap it a little bit around and go for Dragonite in the back and go for Talonflame in the lead, at least in my elo range, it will most likely won like double the amount of battles, but yeah, that's kind of the way of this cup. The cup can be a little bit RPS depending on which team you're going to run. Honestly, still, I have to say this is one of my favorite cups that we ever had in Pokemon Go, which is kind of weird because it's a Vigoroth cup and I don't like Vigoroth cups. By the way, there should be no Brave Bird. It is Sky Attack, as I said before. So, we're going to be hopefully still fine here, but it's going to be a Vigoroth, and I decided to go for a Flame Charge, which is going to buff our own attack, which can be very good for us, because Incinerate damage is going to be chunky, and we can see that the Incinerate damage is coming through, and I can go for a shield, and I can try to get a shield as well here, which might help us out with our Dragonite. But what you're also going to see here right now, if you want to take a look at this, the opponent goes for 2 fast moves. Our charge move damage should have fast move damage should have went through here, but it didn't because for whatever reason Niantic just said no. It doesn't matter. Like we still would have lost the game anyway. But like I don't know. Like still those weird things there. It's just I don't know. I just don't like it. Oh look at this! The Steel Type on the lead. Who would have thought? So we can swap out. They're gonna swap out into the Quagsire, which is going to be the best play for us. I think we can still most likely realign here, hopefully, depending on what the opponent is going to try to do here. But here's the great thing about Vigoroth, counter damage is doing quite a lot. And honestly, this team in general has a lot of fast move pressure. We have a Shadow Dragon Breath user, we have a counter user, we have an Incinerate user. Basically, the most amount of damage that you can imagine you're going to get from this team. So that's kind of a plus side at least for it. So this is going to also allow us to use a shield here. They can still go for a charge move, but not before I can reach my own charge move. And let's see what the opponent is going to try to do here. They're going to decide to use a shield, and this means they are shieldless. And this means also that all our nuke moves going to definitely connect here. Something like Fly, for example, is already kind of doing a ton of damage from our Talonflame. But I have to say, I made a mistake here. The opponent goes for the Whiscash, definitely how you say the name. But you see here, I go for a Flame Charge. This is not the mistake. This is the mistake. I should have stopped out here, because there's no reason for me to stay in. I know that they have a ton of energy on the Skarmory. I just did not expect that they would be able to go for 2 Brave Birds here. So we're going to see the first Brave Bird coming through, but I don't think that they're going to get to another one here. At least is what I thought. But they survive with 1 HP and get to another one and going to knock me out, which is my own fault. If I swapped out, I would have won this game. My own fault. Like, this was definitely on me and not on the game itself. But it is what it is. Let's move on to the final one for today. So we had a neutral lead. Honestly, like, Lantern is not a great lead for us either. Like, Lantern is not a great lead at all. They still do a ton of damage now since Spark got, like, more damage for whatever reason Niantic ever did this. But yeah, maybe it's gonna get nerfed next season. I doubt it. I think it's kind of fine. Like, I think Lantern is kind of okay in the current meta at least. It's still something you have to prepare for, but I feel like it's a lot of Dragon-type Pokemon in general, the Open Great League, which makes it a little bit difficult. And also, there are, of course, a lot of Whiscash, which is going to be a little bit tricky for this Pokemon. I don't know. Like, I feel like the meta right now is kind of fine in general for Pokemon Go. I feel like it's just kind of stale. That's kind of more my issue. I feel like it's kind of also annoying with, like, Scald the entire time. But I still think it's a decent meta, and we had, like, way worse before. So I don't even want to really complain about it. I complain a lot about, like, the metas and whatever in Pokemon Go. But I feel like the current one is kind of okay. Here we can still go for Dragonclaw. I'm going to be able to get some nice damage on them. And I try to sweep now with my Talonflame. They go for the Surf, I go for the Swap, they're gonna go into the Mantine, I can go for Fly, eventually, hopefully. But I decided to use a shield here, just in case it's going to be the Water Pulse, which it isn't, so I have to hope that they don't have Water Pulse, because otherwise we're going to have a little bit of a problem. Fly coming through, going to do some decent damage, and we will see here as well that the opponent is going for a Charge move. It's the Ice Beam, and it's not going to do enough damage. And so this game is over. We can go for that Fly, going to get the knockout, and we see them going straight for the Charge move, which I find quite interesting. It doesn't make any difference because they can farm down with Dragon Breath. And so this is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.